And this is what I call the disinformation that happens to hide the real issues. So you have two levels of deception now taking place in the world. One is the obvious deception, which denies anything's happening, any malfeasance. And the next is those who jump on board either for malevolent reasons or for grifter reasons and start throwing everything but the kitchen sink out there without any real scientific understanding. And that occurred in Arizona, and I saw that occur. So we have to be very careful because a lot of people don't know math, they don't know engineering, they don't know pattern analysis, they don't do the work, they just want to grift. So you have to be very careful. So there is significant issues with chain of custody, and there is issues with signature verification, which is what I did in 2 studies. And we didn't get paid for any of that. We did it because we love this country, we care for it. A lot of people, Trump made about $500,000 on this. A lot of people in Arizona made tens of millions of dollars on this. So I'm a little bit sensitive to this because not for the monetary reason, but more for the fact that people are bullshitting people on both sides. I hope you understand what I'm saying.
I see a lot of propaganda, especially in the fog of war situation between quote unquote Israel and Palestine.
Free Palestine, by the way.
Yeah, free Palestine. You're the inventor of email. I want to get into that before we get into anything else because there's been this
Thank you, by the way.
fog of propaganda occurring where the inventor of text messages has been credited for your work.
Let's be very clear. The guy didn't even invent text messages. Here's the bottom line. The simple exchange of text messages between electronic devices, that credit goes to Samuel Morse, okay? All right? Sending text messages. And what they've done, or what you call electronic messaging. So if you look at the broad aspect of sending messages between computers or between electronic devices, that goes back a long time. But now you have to start looking at systems. So if you look at email, which is really a system, this is very simple, but a lot of people over the age of 40 will know this because email was the electronic emulation of another very important system that was all paper-based. If you went into an office prior, some offices still have this, but in the 1970s and prior to that, going all the way back to the 20s, most organizations, most offices were, a lot of us work from home now, but in offices, they were different physical offices. Each office had a secretary, different secretary's boss, and those kind of things. And these offices were interconnected with pneumatic tubes, with inter-office mail personnel who'd go back and forth. They'd be delivering mail from one office to another, and it was a paper-based mail system. The medium was a proverbial memo. The memo was this document, typically on paper, always on paper, at a very particular structure, to, from, subject. Sometimes you were writing a memo to your boss, and you may want to carbon copy someone in HR if you were hiring someone. And in those situations, you would literally take a copy of that memo, which you would have to type using a carbon paper between 2 pieces of paper. That was called a carbon copy, CC. Sometimes you would blind carbon copy someone. You wouldn't put their name in the CC list for whatever reasons, okay? Secretive reasons. You would sometimes do attachments. Sometimes you want registered mail. You want to send it to someone, you want them a notification. Very complex processes. You would have something called an inbox. This was a physical metal box, an outbox. You have a drafts box, all these file folders. You had paper clips. We take a lot of this for granted, but these were important, literally, like you would have your car, right? You have all these different parts, and that makes the car. If you didn't have a carburetor, the car ain't going to work, right? Or the different joints, right? So this was a very complex system, about 100 different components that literally drove this machinery called the inter-office mail system. Now, I was asked to convert that system into the electronic form, which no one had done before. Now, in these old mainframes, you could send simple text messages. Those were little short messages people would send the data center guys. That's not what we're talking about. And that's what I converted, worked day and night, 50,000 lines of code in a program called Fortran, which those days the computers only had 7K of memory. So I had to write the memory managers. Looking back, it was quite extraordinary. And I did that as a 14-year-old kid. And so I captured every one of those components, those parts, the inbox, the outbox, the folders, address book, paper clips. We could do broadcast mail. Sometimes this is in a hospital. The secretary may want to send to all the departments, the surgery department, the physiology department, etc. What you would today call email marketing. You say newsletters. So it's a lot of work. Far different than this doofus who has a little beard and looks like a nerd claiming, by the way, he, to his own admission, says he didn't invent email. What he did was add text to the bottom of a file using 2 existing programs, send message and CPUINet, in 15 minutes. That's not email. The fact that it was conflated and marketed by Raytheon, a defense company, using the @ symbol, that's the real story, because my invention of email, it's black and white. I wrote wrote all the code. I have the code. I named it email, a term never used before, and I have the US freaking copyright. Do I have to be a white guy with blue eyes, my last name, be a particular name to get credit for this? It's ridiculous. Same story occurred with Philo Farnsworth, who was a white guy who did it on a farm in Idaho, and it took him 60 years to get credit because RCA and Stanford stole. Another real important common threads between my story and Philo's stories. We did it outside of the military industrial academic complex. I did it before I came to MIT. But when I came to MIT, I did many things which I was adorned with all sorts of awards, front page of many things, because it was done at MIT within their bastion of where you go and you can drop out like Bill Gates or Mark Zuckerberg, then you're cool. But the problem they have is I'm still alive. All the data's there. The facts are unequivocal. Email was invented by a 14-year-old kid in a small medical college in Newark, New Jersey, solving a civilian problem. So it's so insane that it's like the insanity of this. A friend of mine who used to be the editor or the owner of Business Insider said, the real story here is, why is there even a fucking controversy? That's the real story. To claim that you attach text to a bottom of a file, that's email as we know it today, bullshit. So there you go. Yes, I invented email. I did it before I came to MIT. Never wanted credit for it. It went into the Smithsonian in 2011 because when my dear mom was dying in a suitcase, she'd saved everything. The editor of Time, in fact, I have the suitcase right here. The editor of Time magazine was the first guy to talk about this. He wrote a story called The Man Who Invented Email. The only journalist who went through the material. It's quite extraordinary. The world we live in now, the levels of deception that are taking place.
Yeah, you're now running for president, and you've met three criteria for me that a lot of candidates have either or don't have your level of notoriety. You have you're against Zionism and you support liability for pharmaceutical companies. Is that right?
Here's the deal, right? You got to understand that I actually do research as a systems biologist. I've been doing this for umpteen years, also in the field of AI since I was, again, probably about 45 years. What people need to understand is that all of these guys running for office, first of all, about 500 million people throughout the world know who I am and know about our movement. And this is what concerns them, because in 2020, 2021, we got our news out there everywhere. People know who's a real fighter. And this is what concerns them, because I'm not in the left or right camp and no one controls me. So I was just on the phone talking to a journalist earlier. She was saying, oh my God, they actively go to conceal you. But here's the problem that they're having. The more they try to conceal me, people are saying, wait a minute, Dr.SHIVA is the one who did the Fire Fauci campaign. Dr.SHIVA is the one who came out against lockdowns. Dr.SHIVA is the one who gave us protocols, and he saved hundreds of millions of people's lives. And I didn't even make a penny off talking about vitamin D, quercetin, zinc. I gave a whole protocol. Others took it and bottled it. So people know, and people are looking at this nonsense, and they're wondering, why isn't this guy being interviewed by mainstream media? But they go find a brown, dark-skinned, brown-nosed, big pharma Brahmin brown-noser, and they push him, and then they push Booby fucking Kennedy, who promoted lockdowns. So they're seeing that the psyop, we live in a world of theater now. Guys like me who are the real fighters and the people who actually do the real work, the hard work, they attempt to make us invisible. But they have a problem here because we got the story out, and there's a lot of smart people out there on this planet among 8 billion people, and they're watching this, and they're learning at a very deep level the level of deception. So I was the first guy. I was doing this back in 2019. I ran some of the biggest protests. Not only am I a scientist and an engineer, but I've been an activist. I know how to organize people. I organized one of the largest protests, mobilized people in New Jersey to stop the vaccine mandates, force them to table the bill. Booby fucking Kennedy was running around saying, oh, let's negotiate with Democrats. This guy's a fucking fool. He comes from a family of organized criminals. He thinks he's going to create safe vaccines. That's his shtick. My position is the 1962 Vaccination Act should be completely removed. The government has no right into your body, period. It's a very clear line. You see the difference? The deception that's taking place is people on both wings of the establishment are taking an issue. They act like they're fighting for us, but the reality is they still want to keep the status quo, but they're trying to massage a solution that is still against people.
Under a potential Shiva presidency, would there be repercussions for mismanagement related to what I've come to call COVID-1984?
Look, this is what needs to happen. The 1962 Kennedy Vaccination Act that John Kennedy passed should be repealed. And I say that as an engineer and as a biological engineer and as a scientist who's known as one of the leading guys in the world on the immune system. And why do I say that? When the 1962 Vaccination Act was passed, it was done with a very rudimentary understanding of the immune system. They just had two boxes, innate and adaptive, and that was it. My work, my PhD work, and more recent work shows that the immune system is very complex. It includes the interferon system, it includes the gut-brain axis, the vagus nerve, and And to say that one person's immune system is the same as another and everyone should get the exact same intervention is just nuts. So the real issue is not even about vaccines or not vaccines. And this is where my presidency and what I focus on, I've been doing it in all of our town halls, which we run at every Thursdays at 11 a.m. and 8 a.m. We focus on one thing. You need to support your immune system. You need to create resilient immune systems. That's where the focus should be on. Now, that path leads to a very different set of solutions, which is we have to start looking at from the time a child is born. Do we allow the child to get exposed to play in dirt, what foods they're eating, all those kinds of things, you say? And you also start recognizing that the immune system and the aging systems are very, very closely linked. You want to live long, create a strong, resilient immune system. You want to die early, destroy your immune system. So that's what we should be talking about, because what they're doing today to young people is they're isolating them in environments that they're not being exposed to specific antigens. So therefore, their immune systems are weakened. If a guy not ever lifting weights or working out, it just becomes a blob of jelly. You don't have any resilience in your body. So this is where the discussion needs to move to. And what would I do as president? I would do exactly what I'm doing right now, but we reach about 8 billion people, educating people on what is the immune system? How do you build immunity? Same stuff I did in 2020. All the hundreds of millions of people's lives I saved, we would do it on a much broader scale. So the real issue is my run for president, building our movement for truth, freedom, health, is already helped many people. We've reached about 500 million people. We're going to continue doing that. The question is, do people want to let go of their reliance on the swarm, as I say? They want to let go on relying on the people from above who have none of our interests at heart. Booby Kennedy has no interest of our heart. Neither does Trump. Neither does, Vivek the Snake or Nikki Haley. All of these people, they're all, or Biden or any one of them, right? They live in their own little worlds that is completely divorced from the lives of everyday working people.
What's your campaign website, and how can people at this moment best assist your rare campaign that meets the criteria that I've been so desperately searching for a good candidate to meet?
William, first of all, I just saw the summary you gave on Truth, Freedom, Health. Man, that was brilliant. You really abstracted it beautifully. Very impressed. So you should get involved. First of all, out of Arizona. And
I'm absolutely going to.
Yeah, so we need to, the biggest thing that will scare the shit out of these people, us getting on the ballot in every state. So number one, every one of you listening, notice I haven't asked for 1 penny for everyone. If fucking Trump, Booby, any one of those guys was on, by the time this talk took place, you would have probably had them begging for you for money and sending you 20 emails by now. We're building a real movement, and our movement is based on you raising your consciousness and becoming an active citizen. Our thesis is, if you want to be a real citizen, it's about service. Service is citizenship. So number one, go to shiva4president.com, volunteer. And what can you do? Because all of working people work hard. The first thing you can do is go get one of these bumper stickers. It's really simple. And why do I say this? Because this bumper sticker basically says, fuck you to the establishment. But more importantly, 100,000 people see one of these. It's a way that you can become an activist driving around. You put it, very importantly, you put it on the rear windshield of your car on the lower left corner. Very important. And if you're going to go to Shiva for President, you get one of these bumper stickers. They're about $5, including shipping. And let's say you get 5 of them. Don't just give them to your friends. Make sure you go tell them, if I'm going to give you one, I got to put it on your car. A lot of people are lazy. They'll say they're going to do something, but activate them, which means putting it on their car. Okay. Number one. Number two, when you volunteer, we have, William, we've set up leaders, and we're looking for more leaders in every state to get on the ballot. We have to mobilize people. Some states you have to get 1,000 signatures. Other states you have to get 2,000. Other states you need 100,000. Some place like Florida, we need lots of volunteers. Again, to us, you volunteering and getting involved mobilizes a movement. The other people, like William, what they do is they say, give me money. That's what Kennedy's doing. He's begging for money. By the way, anyone listening, please don't give these guys any money. Booby fucking Kennedy, all the GOP people, the Bidens or the Trumps, they have more than enough money. They should give you money, okay? But they're asking, I got to get on the ballot. I need money. You know why? Because they don't have any ground support. So they take your money and then they go hire professional companies who get signatures for them. Charge them $10, $20 or whatever it is, $2 per signature. We're not doing that. We are mobilizing people, because if we have people, it gives people an activity to do and become part of it. So that's the second thing, right? Help us get signatures. The other thing is, if you go to Shiva for President and go to the free downloads link, there's a very nice 8.5 by 11 flyer, and you can add this, and I think John can show it. You can probably add it later on in post-production, William. And that flyer basically is a old school leaflet, right? And you can print it black and white. There's 2 columns to that flyer. The left side of that flyer educates people on what is the problem. And we focus on something, a key performance indicator like your health. The fact is, your child's lifespan is now now going to be shorter than yours. That's quite extraordinary. And lifespans have been going like this since 1980. Again, Will, this gives us the opportunity to educate people. It's not just the left or the right, Democrat or Republican. All of them have been involved. And interesting enough, starts around 1984, right? From the policies of the Kennedys starting in 1960s. So the left and the right, Republicans and Democrats, have been destroying your physical body's immune system by the policies that they passed. So that's the real problem, because you have to make it very personal. Who's done this? Something that I call the swarm. So if you go to shattertheswarm.com, you'll see a very nice 15-minute video. You should gather your family, watch it. It'll really explain to you the dynamics, the system dynamics of who the enemy is. Then on the right side of that little flyer, as you're handing it out, you have it at home, put it on your refrigerator. It teaches you action steps. Watch our campaign video. Number 2, go to Truth, Freedom, Health. Become a warrior scholar. And 3, come to our open houses. Come to our open houses. They're online 11 a.m. and 8 p.m. And you can go to shiva4president.com/town-hall or vashiva.com/orientation to sign up. Absolutely free. You come there. Each week we go through different topics, but we give you solutions to healthcare, solutions you can act on, solutions to the environment, solutions to education, innovation, governance, and economy. So my becoming president, I'll just do more of this. So we're not waiting to become president, William. We're doing it here and now. So those are the things people can do. truthfreedomhealth.com, become a warrior scholar, get the bumper sticker, hand out a leaflet, and you'll meet incredible people. And every weekends on Saturdays, we do this entire volunteer meeting online. You get to meet a lot of great people, and we help people build communities. So that's what we're doing. This is an opportunity for every one of you not to vote for the lesser of two evils. You don't have to do that, because all they're going to do is kill more and more children. And frankly, they want to kill you and depopulate you. They have no interest in advancing the mass of working people. The goal is to exploit people, replace them ultimately with robots and AI, so they get a world for themselves, and to hell with the rest of us.
So one thing that I'm going to start using on Truth, Freedom, Health is the VA social that you got going on over there with the Truth, Freedom, Health package, as I've been suspended from Twitter because of my free speech that Elon.
We also have our own, we've also created our own apps. We have our own data center so you can connect with people. I think in Arizona, get involved. You can help us be the leader there and mobilize people. We have a whole infrastructure for you.
Okay. So Dr.SHIVA, everybody. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Be well.
I have a couple of questions.